Hi, I'm Dong Sean. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to review unique perspectives. Beijing's housing market has finally crumbled. In July 2025, the National Bureau of Statistics released data that struck Chinese home buyers like a thunderbolt. Beijing's second-hand home prices recorded the steepest month-on-month decline nationwide, falling by 1.1%. Shanghai followed closely, ranking third, while Shenzhen and Guangzhou also landed among the top 7. The cities, once regarded as the unshakable pillars of China's real estate market, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, are now at the forefront of the collapse. This is not a mere crack in the surface, it is a dam bursting wide open. For years, many believed that the property prices in first-tier cities were immune to decline. Countless individuals viewed homes in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen as the ultimate safe haven. Now, that illusion has shattered. A 1.1% month-on-month drop in Beijing's second-hand home prices is more than a statistical fluctuation. It is a bellwether for China's entire housing market. First-tier cities symbolize confidence, and when that confidence falters, second, third, and fourth-tier cities crumble like sand in its wake. Data from the China Index Academy reveals that in July 2025, the national second-hand home price index fell by 0.7% month-on-month, marking the 12th consecutive month of declines. Over the past year, more than 80% of cities have seen listing prices for second-hand homes decrease. Even more concerning is the collapse in transaction volume. Baker Research Institute reported that Beijing's second-hand home transactions in July plummeted 35% year-on-year, with Shanghai down 32%, Shenzhen 28%, and Guangzhou 30%. In essence, not only are prices dropping, but the buyers have disappeared, leaving the market in a deep freeze. A Bloomberg exclusive report lifted the veil on this unfolding crisis. Sources disclose that the Chinese regulators have directed state-owned asset management firms, including China Cinda, to deploy the 300 billion yuan allocated by the central bank last year to purchase unsold properties from developers. This is not about infrastructure or industry. It is about state-owned enterprises stepping in as buyers of last resort to absorb and access housing inventory of over 408 million square meters. To put 408 million square meters in perspective, at China's average living space of roughly 42 square meters per person, this could house nearly 100 million people. The scale of the real estate industry's inventory crisis is so severe that the government has resorted to deploying the national team to shore it up. This is a state-orchestrated effort to recover assets, using state-owned enterprises to slow the collapse of the real estate bubble. Yet, the reality is stark. 300 billion yuan is far from sufficient, with over 400 million square meters of inventory valued at more than 40 trillion yuan at an average price of 10,000 yuan per square meter. The state's funds are a mere drop in the ocean. They cannot salvage the market. Worse, even if the funds are deployed, they may fail to address the root issue. Since 2023, the central bank has introduced two similar home purchase loan support programs, but the actual loan disbursement rate has been below 6%. In other words, few are willing to step forward and buy. More troubling is the underlying policy direction. The State Council's Development Research Center, the Chinese Academy of Social Science, the National Development and Reform Commission, and the Macroeconomic Research Institute are quietly exploring public property management and a state-owned housing rental system. This evokes memories of the public-private partnerships of the 1950s. Homes were once the cornerstone of wealth for Chinese families, the sole source of security for millions of middle-class households. Now, as the state-owned enterprises acquire properties and the local state firms take on the burden, these assets are gradually being deprivatized. The future may see landlords replaced by government or state-owned enterprises, where housing rights hinges not on financial means but on political compliance. This is what some call the Wealth Reset Initiative. On August 15th, the National Bureau of Statistics released economic data that compound the crisis. Retail sales grew by only 3.7% year-on-year, well below the anticipated 4.6%, marking a new low for the year. Consumer confidence has frozen. Industrial added value rose by 5.7%, falling short of expectations and hitting the lowest level since November last year. Fixed asset investment for the first 7 months grew by just 1.6% year-on-year, missing the projected 2.7%. Real estate development investment plunged 12% year-on-year, the worst in 5 years. New home prices have stagnated for 2 years with a 2.8% year-on-year drop in July. Coal production fell 3.1% year-on-year, the lowest since 2020. These figures are not mere statistics, they reflect a harsh reality. Factories are closing, malls are shuttering, and projects are stalling. Most alarmingly, Evergrande Group has succumbed. On August 12th, it announced it would delist on the 25th, signaling the complete collapse of China's real estate giant. New home sales by the top 100 developers have dropped by over 20% year-on-year for 2 consecutive months. Real estate, which accounts for a quarter of China's GDP, has collapsed. For ordinary citizens, this is a dire predicament. Buying a home means facing falling prices, rising mortgage rates, and rapidly shrinking assets. Opting out means confronting a future where a state-controlled rental system dictates terms, with rent and power in the hands of the government and state-owned enterprises. It feels like a ruthless game where every path leads to depleted wealth. This crisis is unfolding in the sweltering summer of 2025. When home prices in Beijing and Shanghai lead the decline, it signals more than a housing market in peril. It heralds a crisis in the social order. In China, homes are not merely residents, they are debt burdens, wealth illusions, and the final wager for families. When this foundation crumbles, everyone is affected. Real estate drives over 60 upstream and downstream industries, from cement, steel, and glasses to appliances, renovations, and building materials. Each brick supports someone's livelihood. Now that chain is breaking. In July 2025, the construction industry shed 12 million jobs year-on-year, a record high. Small and medium-sized developers are collapsing at an accelerating pace, with over 300 real estate-related firms closing in July alone. In the building materials sector, China National Building Material Group reported a 48% year-on-year profit decline in the first half of the year, its worst performance since going public. The unemployment surge is not just news, it is a personal tragedy. In Guangzhou's Shenzhen district, halted construction sites have forced countless migrant workers to return home after early wage settlements, many unable to afford travel costs. In Guangzhou, real estate agencies have shuttered overnight, leaving employees unpaid and hundreds demanding their final commissions. In Beijing's Tongzhou district, a renovation company owner lamented receiving no significant orders in 6 months, with workers leaving to deliver food. The housing market's collapse is not just about the shrinking homeowner assets, it is about shattering the livelihood of tens of millions. For 2 decades, China's middle class was built on real estate. 1 home meant $1 million in wealth, 2 homes meant 10 million. Many ordinary people believed that by taking on a mortgage, they could ascend to the upper echelons overnight. But the reality in 2025 is sobering. In Beijing's Tongzhou district, a homeowner who purchased a 3-bedroom apartment for 8 million yuan in 2021 cannot sell it for 6.5 million today, losing 1.5 million yuan in 3 years, equivalent to 20 years of savings for an average white-collar worker. In Shenzhen's Longgang district, a 5 million yuan starter home is now listed at 4.3 million with no buyers, while the owner faces monthly mortgage payments of nearly 20,000 yuan. In Shanghai's Pudong district, top school district homes have fallen over 20%, and the parents realize that even the promise of educational investment has eroded. An internal report from the Chinese Academy of Social Science indicates that in 2025, 70% of Chinese household wealth is tied to real estate. As prices continue to fall, the middle class is losing nearly all its security. The great illusion that homes equal wealth is being dismantled. The future holds even graver trends. As the state-owned enterprises acquire properties, they are constructing a state-controlled rental system. Renters will lose freedom of choice, with landlords being the government, state-owned enterprises, or politically connected entities. Rent price, lease terms, and the renewals will be dictated by the system. The notion that foregoing a mortgage brings relief is misguided. Housing rights will depend on political compliance. In essence, Chinese citizens face a future as either mortgage debtor or political dependents. The housing market's collapse has immediately impacted consumption. In July 2025, retail sales grew by just 3.7% year-on-year, with the month-on-month figure hitting a yearly low. Beneath the surface of modest growth lies a complete freeze in consumer sentiment. A McKinsey survey indicates that over 62% of urban Chinese households plan to reduce major expenditures in the next 12 months, with delaying home purchases and cutting renovations at the forefront. When homes cease to represent wealth, household finances contract and malls empty. Nationwide car sales in July fell 14% year-on-year, with electric vehicles posting negative growth for 3 consecutive months. In the appliance sector, Gree Electric reported a 30% drop in net profit year-on-year. In catering industry, Haidilao's per customer spending hit a 5-year low. Even hotpot restaurants once buoyed by consumption upgrades are now in a deep chill. This is the ripple effect. The fall of the housing market has frozen society's consumer impulse. In the past, Chinese people bought homes on faith, endured hardship, buy, and one day it will appreciate. One day it will double. But in 2025, that faith has collapsed. The decline in home prices is not just about losing money, it is about losing hope. Young people hesitate to marry, unable to afford down payments. Parents shy away from investing in education as the school district homes no longer offer protection. The elderly refrain from spending on retirement, fearing their children's mortgages may default, requiring their intervention. This engagement is no longer just a youth trend, it is a state of society. Most alarmingly, falling home prices do not signify wealth disappearing, but wealth being redistributed. State-owned enterprises and the politically connected capital are acquiring high-quality private assets at bargaining prices. The homes that the middle-class families spend decades building may end up in the hands of the system. This is a calculated wealth reset. Ordinary citizens are compelled to liquidate assets and pay rent, while the state and elite amass vast portfolios of cheaply acquired properties. It is framed as a rescue, but is in essence a reallocation. In summary, in the summer of 2025, China's real estate market is in critical condition. Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen are leading a nationwide price decline. State-owned enterprises are stepping in to absorb the fallout, and homes are being quietly deprivatized. Middle-class wealth is evaporating, consumption is collapsing, unemployment is surging, and social trust is unraveling. Most sobering of all, this is only the beginning. Looking ahead, Chinese citizens face a stark reality. Homes are no longer wealth but burdens. Society no longer offers the promise of upward mobility but is in decline. The real estate collapse is not merely an economic issue. It is fracturing the social fabric, dismantling middle-class aspirations, and casting the future of 1.4 billion people into uncertainty. In 2025, China's housing market is in crisis, and so is its future. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.